You're listening to Soapbox Daily and episode 137. Hey, I'm your host, Matt Morgan, and thank you very much for tuning in today. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm a little wiped today, so please excuse me if I stumble over every word or every second word, but it's been a very long night and a very busy day so far. So, hey, I thank you very much for tuning in today, and today we are talking about annoying friends and new relationships. Yeah, that is our topic for today, and this is kind of inspired by, a lifetime of relationships on and off, but also more so somebody recently, a friend of mine that I've known for well over 10 years, has in the last year engaged in a new relationship, which is kind of an odd nature, but this is what we're going to talk about today. You know, annoying friends with new relationships. I think we've all been there. We've always had that friend like that. So before we get into this today, hey, how is your integrity? How you being? Are you setting the positive example? Are you doing the right thing? Domino effect, folks. Your action gets emulated by others and influences others. So do the right thing, make the positive change. We're going to change the world, make it for a better place. So let's get into today's topic when it comes to, annoying friends with new relationships. Now, new relationships are always a tricky thing, but they go through the classic stages. Yeah, of course they do. You meet, you engage, you both think that, for some reason that you just want to make a sort of a commitment to each other. And this kind of rocks things for a few people. I mean, not only you and, of course, the person or your friend and a person or whatever the case may be, is everybody's associated with those people in their lives. So it's like, okay, so you get involved with somebody new, everything else, and then of course your friends are going to be judgmental and get in on it and vice versa. And everybody's wondering, because there's the classic things where people have a new relationship and people get pushed to the wayside. So, okay, so you meet somebody and you guys start dating and everything else, and you're not available anymore because no longer a bachelor or bachelorette or whatever the case may be, and friends are worried that they've get to spend time with you, but then again, they don't have relationships, so they don't know what it's all about until, of course, they go through the same thing and meet somebody and new relationship and everything else. But today, I don't know, I've noticed in the last 20 years that relationships are a different thing. It's not the classic, you meet somebody, cross the room, you wave and smile, exchange phone numbers and everything else. It's not how it's done these days anymore. Now, a lot of relationships can actually flourish sight unseen, believe it or not, where you just talk to somebody in some sort of voice communication software and you never laid eyes on each other from a distance across the world or across the country. And for some reason, this is enough of an exchange in a virtual world to establish a relationship, which is really somewhat bizarre, but I've been there myself. And, in this particular instance, which I talk about today, as a friend that I've known for over 10 years, which I actually haven't laid eyes on, but we've exchanged, some deeper communication as friends and everything. And I mean, we've kind of established a solid friendship. I proved myself to be there for him, vice versa. And he's been burned a few times, as we all have. But, he got involved with this girl virtually online who, frankly, in my opinion, I didn't know the type, and I'm not, a professional on this, but, she was coming out of a bad relationship and on the rebound. And Buddy was there to catch her. And Buddy, being desperate as he was, decided to catch her and make things flourish. Well, now it's the worst case scenario, right? I mean, I always been hesitant because the guy's a little bit of a pushover and not really that suave or experienced with women. We've all been there. We've always had that friend that thinks they know it all. They figured out the relationships of the opposite sex or the same sex, whatever they basically, they think they figured out people when it comes to relationships. And they figure they have all the answers, but then as it goes along, you figure out they're burned and they know nothing. This is the case we have in this particular situation. Now, I know you've probably been there too, but I'm observing from the outside because he's too blind in this particular situation to actually see the pitfalls, whereas I can see the pitfalls. I've expressed a discontent, and that's kind of where we're talking about at this point. Some points when it comes to annoying friends and new relationships. These are kind of some points you have to keep into consider whether or not you have legit reasons for disliking this person. Again, I haven't set eyes on this person or met them in real life, and neither is he in this particular example. But honestly, do you have a legit reasons? Well, number one, you got to be honest with yourself. Okay, so you think your friend's beloved is a complete douche, but check yourself. Is it truly about them or about you? I mean, even if it's hard to admit, it may just be cases of jealousy in some situations, and you sense that the relationship is taking up a space that used to be reserved for your friendship. Okay, that's a possibility. Number 2, give grace after first impression. Yes, first impressions can be a source of truth, but they can also might be flat out wrong. Case in point, I can often be super shy and quiet when meeting people for the first time, and I get nervous and want to say the right thing. But, I'm completely aware that some people might think I'm stuck up, where I'm not really, I'm just kind of observing. So you gotta give a grace period after first impression, because maybe they made a bad first impression. So number 3, make peace with the petty stuff. Well, we've all had the friends that have dated other people for multiple years who always argued, and it was annoying to listen to. But the truth is that we don't know all the circumstances behind it. So, maybe the petty stuff is just our perception. We viewing as a completely different thing of what's actually going on in their particular relationship. And, get into, okay, another point, how about speaking up about the red flags? Now, this is a concern when you tell your friend about red flags, because sometimes it backfires on you. They don't see it. They're blinded. They're in that honeymoon period. So you got to be careful about the red flags, because there's a time and place for speaking up about your friend's partner, and sometimes you should absolutely need to say nothing. Absolutely should not say anything, but sometimes you do need to say something. You look for the warning signs of an unhealthy relationship, because they might not see it, but you might have a risk of hurting your friendship. And also give advice when he or she asks. Give advice, relationship advice, people advice, situation advice to help out this annoying friend with the new relationship. And also be honest with your friend about how you feel. Another point is be honest with how you feel about your friend's new partner. Don't lie. Don't hold anything back. Lay it out on the table. Again, it might strain the relationship, the friendship, but you're going to have to take, that in mind. And last but not least, decide how important the friendship is to you. I mean, are you willing to go the distance to try to be honest with your friend about the whole circumstances around this new relationship? And is it the friendship that important to you that you need to step in and basically express yourself when it comes to all that? So, I mean, these are things to keep in mind. Yeah, it sucks when, annoying friends have new relationships, because they don't see everything. They don't see all the angles, and they're completely putting this person on pedestals where they can do no wrong and they got their back, and they don't seem to value the importance of the friendship anymore. And it's all the talk about their new relationship, and all the talk about their new beau, and all of this and all of that, and it just seems you're kicked to the wayside. I say be honest with how you feel. Try to point out the red flags and point out the issues, but sometimes they just won't listen. So sometimes you just have to sit back and wait and see where how the cookie crumbles, so to speak. Sometimes you just have to sit back and sit there and watch. And that's kind of what I'm doing in this particular example with my friend with this new relationship of his. I remove myself from the situation and from their area, and I'm going to sit back, and I know for a fact down the road, it's going to come a time I can predict the future. But we'll see what happens. Hey, best case scenario, he's happy and everything works out. We'll have to see. All right, I'm going to wrap this up for today. Hey, thank you very much for tuning in. I wanted to touch bases on this one because I have that situation going on and it's frustrating. I'm your host, Mad Morgan. Hey, check out the Mad Soapbox over on Twitter. Okay, Mad Soapbox, not the Mad Soapbox. Mad Soapbox over on Twitter. Share your feedbacks. I'd love to hear from you. Also, check out our main website, themadmorgan.com, which is going to have all our podcasts and shows and projects and everything else now and down the road. All right, have yourself an amazing day moving forward. Sorry, a little late on the clock today, but it's been a busy day so far, and I will see you next episode.